How this is going to work. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. So bear with me, you guys. I'm trying to figure out a good way to do this because um, I've never really done like this kind of tutorial before. So I'm in my workspace. I'm trying to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing okay. So I'm going to give it just a few more seconds for everybody that wants to get on. Um, Good morning, Bexon. Good morning, everybody. So today we're doing something a little different. Instead of selling beads and fun stuff, I'm gonna be showing you guys how to make some resin flower jewelry. So this is actually kind of what started. My husband and I had a small business that we were doing. We would go around to different events and vend, and it started actually during when we were shut up during the pandemic. I had been watching videos and was really interested, and um, when I first started, it was terrible. The stuff that I made was terrible. It takes practice. So if you are interested in trying this, uh, don't stress if the first things you do are like kind of crazy. I'm not wearing gloves today. I do recommend if you're just starting out wearing gloves because the resin is very sticky. It's very hard to get off. Um, but I've been doing it a while, so I still get resin on me. I keep paper towels. I keep an alcohol spray bottle for when, I'm making a little bit of a mess. But so tools, I'm just going to start out telling you guys the main tools you need are, um, so I'm trying to get this in screen here. You need these little tweezers. The ones that they send you when you purchase flowers are not good. They will not work. So these are really good. Quality. They're not expensive, but it makes a big difference when you want a good grip on the flower, especially if you're doing something that's really like detailed. So you need the tools. You need basils. So um, these are open back basils, is what they're called. So they don't have a solid base, where a closed basil is like something like this. So this is a closed basil. This is what you would use if you want to mix mica powder or anything like that in there. This is what you'd want to use. Um, the first one we're going to do today, I'm starting with an open back basil. So the other thing you're going to need is good resin tape. This is heat resistant, so you can put it on there and it peels right off and doesn't leave any sticky residue. So make sure you get good resin tape. Um, that's a really good thing. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and start. So I've got this little basil here. I'm going to make a little, we're going to start with something pretty simple, a little flower pendant, we're going to start with a little daisy this morning. So you just want to peel off a piece of your resin tape, just large enough for the piece you're working on to go on. And you're just going to stick that on there like that. So you just want to stick it on there like that. Oh, the other thing that's super important, you guys, is you want to have a good resin light. Not one of the little USB resin lights that you just plug into like a USB thing. You want one that actually plugs into the wall. This is going to save you so much heartache because this cures really fast. If you get one of the little ones that just plug into the USB, they do not cure very fast, and therefore you're waiting like 5-6 minutes for something that should take less than a minute to cure. So these are also not expensive. Just want to make sure you get one that plugs into the wall. So all right, so we're going to start. So you put your little basil down, make sure it's firm on there, there's no leaks. And then we're going to take our UV resin. Now, I use this. The reason that, so the difference, what we're doing today is UV resin, and the difference between UV resin and epoxy resin, you have to mix together two different liquids. You have an A and a B. You mix them together, and then they harden over a period of time. So it's like hours or days. This cures in a minutes. So the way that UV resin works is that the UV light has to be able to penetrate the resin. So you can't like do something really, really dark and expect it to cure, because if the UV cannot penetrate the resin, then it's going to not cure correctly. So that's the most important thing. Oh, I'm working on a silicone mat. Yay! Hey guys. Hey everybody. So forgive me. I'm a little awkward today because I'm not used to working from this angle, and it's just kind of a last minute setup. Um, so yeah, the UV resin, the UV light shows through the resin, and that's what makes it cure. So this is a silicone mat. I suggest that you always use one of these when you're using UV resin because it peels right off of this. So if you get overflow or something sticks, you can just peel it right up. So it makes your work area a lot cleaner. I always sanitize mine with rubbing alcohol and before I use it and spray everything down. Um, so anyway, let's start. So you're going to take your UV resin and you're just going to, I'm trying to get this in an angle where you guys can see it. You're just going to squirt some in here like that. And then another thing you will need is toothpicks. I get the longer ones just because they're easier to work with. So you just want to move the resin around in there till it's covered all the inside. So you just want to push it around in there, get it to all the edges. And then you will have little bubbles that pop up. You're just going to want to take a lighter and just torch it. If they don't pop up right away, you can just kind of dig around with your toothpick, bring them more to the surface, and then fire again. I got this little cheap lighter that just has a little thing, so it makes it a little bit easier. It aims right at the thing. So I'm just going to make sure it's all the way around. And then we're going to take our light and we're going to put it on there for 1 minute. And that's gonna cure the resin to start, because we want a base. So you don't want to put anything necessarily on the base at first, because if the resin underneath won't cure. If you get what I'm saying, if the light can't get to the resin, it won't cure. So you always want to start with kind of a base. So Bexon, I don't know that I'm allowed to say on here. We're not allowed to direct people to other like websites. A bigger retailer online starts with an A. This particular light is a double-sided light, but I only use one side at a time. I've got the other one just for spare. But it is, make sure it plugs into the wall and not just the little, doesn't plug into a little thing. Yes, yes, exactly. That's where I get my resin. That's where I get my pressed flowers. That's where I got the light. So you can find all this stuff pretty cheap. It's not expensive. So, okay, so this should be done. We're just going to turn off the light. And as you can see now, it's hard inside there. It's hard. So what we're going to do next, and this is a trick I learned over time that I'm sharing with you guys. What I like to do next is put a little bit of resin down, just like this. Boom, 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 boom. And then I like to place my flower, which we're going to use a little daisy. I like to place my flower in there, kind of push down all the little petals. You got to be careful when you're poking with this. You don't want to damage the flower. So, and then what I do is I cure it again really quick. That way it doesn't slide around when I'm finishing it. Now this seems silly for one flower, and it probably is overkill for the flower, but when you get to where you're making the more complex pieces, it's going to make total sense to you to have everything kind of stick. Yes, they are pressed flowers. These are pressed flowers. And you can get all kinds of different pressed flowers. Some people use silicone molds. I don't like that necessarily because there's a lot of sanding that goes involved with that. And I'm not going to sit there and sand something for an hour. You can use the silicone molds. They turn out, they turn out pretty, but I like the basils. I like the metal frames a lot better. So no, you don't want to use fresh flowers because resin and moisture don't do well together. So you can't use fresh flowers. You have to press them, dry them. You can press your own flowers. It's very easy. You just go outside, pick something. They've got to be relatively flat to fit into the resin. So what you do is you just place whatever flower you want between wax paper. Like you lay that wax paper out, put the flowers on it, push it the other wax paper on the other side, stick it in a big book, a heavy book, and let it sit there for like 6 weeks. And then you'll have pressed flowers. So, and they'll be dry. And then you can use your own pressed flowers. And I have like gone out and got the little weed flowers in the garden that look so pretty. The little weeds that everybody dismisses make beautiful flowers for the resin. Okay, so that's going to be good. You don't have to leave it under there the full time because we just want it to get to where it's not going to move around. So it's in there. It's not going to move around. I can go like this. Okay. The next step, that's a cat hair. Brat. So the next step is you're going to take the UV resin again, and you're just going to, sorry, I'll do it from this side. You're just going to fill it in. So you're just going to take, some people do a toothpick with this. I like just using the resin bottle. It's easier. Plus you want it to be pretty full because it looks better. You don't want to do just a real thin layer over the daisy. Now what you'll see start to happen next, this is important, and this is where the time kind of comes in. All these little bubbles start to pop up. I don't know if you guys can see these little bubbles. Pop, pop, pop. So you want to let it sit for a minute with the resin on top of it. You want to try and get as many bubbles to surface as you can. Otherwise, when you put the UV light on it, there's like a heat. And if there's any air left in this, it will bring it up. This is kind of a normal part of resin. Sometimes there's just bubbles. Sometimes you can't get all the little tiny bubbles out. But this is the part where you have to be a little bit patient because you got to kind of wait, press on the flower a little bit, see if you can get any of the bubbles to surface. Like there's one coming up right there. You just have to kind of just wait, and then we're going to fire this again with a lighter once all the little bubbles kind of come to the surface. Ooh, there's a big one. Ooh. Okay, so we're just going to keep messing with it a little bit. Try and get as much of the bubbles out of there. And you guys, you can do this and still end up having bubbles. So don't stress if you do. It's just a part of... Okay, then we're going to take the lighter again. And we're just going to go over it like this and see all those bubbles pop. So now there's no bubbles. Hopefully. We'll see when it cures, because sometimes you can do your best to get all the bubbles out and there's still going to be a bubble that pops up. So for this one too, so I'm going to do a little bee in there, and I will show you how this works. This is just a little charm that I cut the loop off. Is that a website? Is what a website, hon? Oh. I also make sure you check the shrinkage. Okay. So I'm just going to put this little bad boy right in there. We'll probably have to do another coat of resin. I'm just going to stick him right there. So then we're going to cure this. Let it cure for a minute. Hopefully there's no deforms as well. Okay, so also, guys, I do sell these. I do sell these in the store, the little basils. So I've got all kinds of basils, and I can sell those on the store. So if you guys are looking for supplies, just let me know, and I'll keep that stuff in stock for you. Because I also have flowers and stuff that I can put online. All right, it looks like we're bubble free. Yay! Do you know the wattage of the light you use? I will actually look at that. I will look at that for you because it is a higher wattage. You want to get a really powerful lamp. This one is, I think this one's Let's Resin, and it's a double. It's like a double. There's a part that goes on the bottom too that you can like magnetically click them to, so they cure from both sides. I only need this one. I don't want it to cure from both sides. I don't need all that. This one does perfect. And if I need something that cure on the other side, I can flip it. What is my store name? So we don't actually do the store anymore. It used to be Dream and Blue. But we don't, like, as we've gotten older, my husband and I are both in our 50s. We just can't take the heat like we used to. So we don't do the like outside vending events anymore. We just do whatnot. All right, so it's pretty cured. You guys can see. Hopefully, it doesn't get too blurry. It will, of course. It's got the little bee on there. Now we need to cover up the bee, so we're just gonna do another. Sorry, I'm using my. So we're just gonna do another coating. Now the resin is self-leveling, so we're just gonna do another coat like that. So the bee gets covered up completely. Again, we're going to take our lighter and just skim it, make sure there's no bubbles in that, what we just did. And then we're going to put the light back on it. Okay, so what would you like to see, babe? The resin bottle again? Of course. This is what, sorry, I'm trying to get it in frame. This is what I use. Sorry, this is really awkward. Okay, so this, the blue piece of plastic, this is resin tape. So you can get this off any website. It's called resin tape. And you want to make sure you get the clear, semi-clear, because the other one that I tried to get like a cheaper version. I don't even know if I have any left. Oh yeah, I do. So if it looks like this and it's more of a solid, don't get it. This does not work. You end up, this sticks to the back of your project, and then you've got little blue pieces. You gotta like use rubbing alcohol to get off the back of your product. So don't use this. This is a no-no. And the difference is, let me see if I can peel this one and show you guys the difference. So this one looks like it's semi-clear, but this is like, this will stick to your project. So you want to make sure you get the more green resin tape. It works better. It looks like this. Here, I can show you guys. Let me pull this back. So this is what I use for resin tape. For those of you that want like a screenshot or whatever, that's the resin tape I use. So now this is completely set. So you're just going to peel off the back, and boom, you've got a little flower pendant with a bee in it. Now, so this is a really simple, oh, also, if you ever get any little resin spots on the side, you can take a pair of scissors and just pop it off. It'll come off really easy. So don't freak out if like you get a little bubble of resin or something right there on the side. You can just take scissors and cut it right off. So yes, I will do another one. And so one of the most popular ones is my moon. When I do the moon charms, this is one of my more popular items. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this. Let's turn this off so it doesn't mess with our resin. So on this one, okay, so I don't know if you guys can see the loop on this one is kind of sticks out, so it's not flat. So what I'm going to do is when I do the resin tape, I'm going to show you guys. This is stuff I've learned over the years, guys, so hopefully this will help you if you're just starting out. I've learned a lot of tricks and techniques over the years, because if you just try to put this down on a piece of tape like it is, you're going to have resin flowing out this side because it's raised. So it's not going to stay. So what you want to do is you want to cut a piece of the resin tape. I'm going to try and show you this as well as I can. You want to put it right at the edge of the moon, like that. right at the edge where the little loop is, and then you want to secure it really good with your finger. And this way, when you're doing the resin, it will not come out up here, because you see that this is making it raise up a little bit on this side. Sorry, you can't see that. This is making it raise up a little bit on this side. So with the tape on there, it won't go through. So what we're going to do again is we're just going to open our resin. We're going to put some in there. I keep my resin in a cup like this. Sorry, you can't see that. Upside down. Like, I keep it upside down in there so that when I'm ready to use it, it's ready. So I keep it upside down in there, so I'm not waiting 10 minutes for the resin to reach the bottom. Okay, so we're going to take our resin. We're going to put it in there. We're going to, again, take the toothpick, push it around. Push it around in there. Make sure all the bubbles get out. So you want to make sure you don't have all the bubbles floating around in there. So you just kind of move them around, push them to the surface. And then you're going to take your lighter, and again, you're just going to fire it. If it doesn't get rid of all the bubbles, just keep moving them around until you've been able to pop them all. So it's not a big deal. You just keep moving them around, keep firing it till it's semi-clear. Okay, so now we have a good layer of resin in there. So we're going to go ahead and put the resin lamp on it and let it set. And again, you guys, a good resin lamp is so important, because if you get one of the cheapy ones, you're going to be sitting here for 6 minutes waiting for that resin to cure, and everything gets sticky. If you put your resin under light and it is still sticky when you pull it out, you need to get a stronger lamp, because that you can ruin so many projects just by not by having the right lamp. I learned this the hard way. Yeah, it's not hard. It just, I still have projects that I totally ruin, because it's just, you have to be patient, like waiting for the bubbles to come out, and you've got to be, you start to learn like what is enough and what's too much resin. Because sometimes I think, oh, that's perfect, and then I put it under the light and it starts spilling over the pendant. So you just have to kind of, you'll get to know those things as you work with it. Um, you just have to be patient, like she said, and no, do not use the UV nail lights. The kind that they use in the manicure places. Good point, Amber. Those are not strong enough. Your resin will be so sticky and not cure. You need to make sure you get a UV resin light specifically for resin. This one is from Let's Resin. Again, it has a double side that I don't use the other side. So it looks like a dome actually when I put it together. But this is perfect. This is all I need. And then I saved the other one for if this one goes down or something, I can just use the other one as well. Yep, perfect point. Okay, so it should be cured. Again, good resin lamp makes all the difference. So we've got our little moon there, and it's hard on the inside. We've got that layered resin. So then what I do next, another thing that you should have in your tools is you can use an X-Acto knife. I use scalpels, because I find the scalpels are sharper, they stay longer, and you can get multiple kinds. So like, for example, where'd it go? There it is. Okay, so like this one, I use when I cut my flowers in half. This is perfect because I can just go boop when I'm cutting my flowers in half. And I'll show you guys part of that too today. So I use scalpels. You can use an X-Acto knife. These are super cheap. Again, you get them online. They have replaceable blades, so you just keep these nice metal. They're easier to work with than an X-Acto knife because you don't have the round. Like, this is just really friendly to use for your fingers. So that's what I use, the scalpels. So what I'm going to show you is, okay, let me see here. So we're going to start with some greenery on this. So I've got these little pieces of greenery. I buy the whole pack. It's cheap, and you will use a ton of this when you start making stuff. So I just buy the whole pack of the little greenery. A lot of the flower packs come with greenery, but if you want specific, just buy the greenery by itself. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to take my scalpel, and I'm going to cut off 2 of the little leaves here. So I'm just going to do this and just cut those off. So now you've got your leaves right there that we're going to use. I just put that to the side. Now this is where you, again, want to take your resin. Oh, thank you. You're so awesome. Right, it's not the same. That's a fact. You don't want to use a nail lamp. So you're just going to put a light layer of resin to do this. And this, guys, is so these stay where they're supposed to. Anybody that works with resin knows if you try to just place stuff in there and then put the resin on it, everything starts to float in the resin. So I do this so stuff stays where I want it to stay until I get ready to do the final coat. So I'm going to put a leaf there, and I'm going to put a leaf at the top of the moon. Sorry if my hand's in the way. I should try and do this the other way. Come here, little dude. So this is what, I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me see if I can. So it's got the leaf on top, the leaf on the bottom. Okay. And then we're going to pick a flower to put in the middle. So let's see here. What flower do we want to use? Okay. I'm going to pick this one. Okay, so I've got this cute little flower that we're going to put right there in the middle. We're going to poke that down. We're going to make sure the leaves are under the flower. So we're just going to poke that down there for a minute. All right, and then we're going to pop this light on it to make sure that that stuff stays in place. This is an important part of it, y'all. For years, when I was making jewelry or resin flower stuff, I would just put it in there and then pour resin on it, and then everything starts moving around. It is so frustrating. This way, especially, I'm going to make one of these for you guys, the ones I sell, one of the ones with multiple flowers in it. That way you'll see where the cutting comes in. But when you're doing something like this, you have to have that stuff stay in place. Otherwise, it's just a mess. Everything's going to float everywhere. Yeah, air bubbles are a big problem. And it's not bad. Some are, little tiny air bubbles. It doesn't look terrible. It's really hard when you're using, especially fluffier flowers like this one I'm using now. They tend to have a little bit more air bubbles in them. So the flatter the flower, like the daisy, is not going to have as much trouble with the air bubbles. But if you're using like a little fluffy flower, then you have to wait a little bit longer for the air bubbles to come out. Okay, so you can see now that this is golden. These aren't going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. And this is important when I put the next resin on because I don't want them floating. I want them just where I place them. So that little step in between makes a huge difference in your project. And it took me years to learn that. Like, I'd probably say in the last couple of years, I learned that doing that first, just kind of setting it in there and curing the resin so that it's stationary, makes a huge difference in your projects. All right. So make sure your resin light is off before you start the next process. Having resin cure while you're trying to make it is not a fun thing, let me tell you. So we're going to take the resin again. I'm just going to take the resin. We're going to put it over everything. Make sure you cover all of your... Good lighting helps, guys, because if you get any kind of little dip in your resin or somewhere you didn't cover completely, it will show. It won't show as well when you're making it, but when you're finished making it, you'll be like, oh crap, there's a, so it's really important to have good lighting when you're doing this. Now what I do at this point is I take my toothpick and kind of push on this flower so that if there's little air bubbles underneath, I'm going to try and help them out. You don't want to go crazy and push too hard. Now, most of the flowers you can press on pretty much without damaging them, but for those that you can't, there are some, like the forget-me-nots, you can't push on those. You can't push on them, they'll ruin. So what I get is these little Q-tip looking things. And if the flower is really delicate, I use this instead because this won't damage the flower. It's got the little Q-tip end. So I use these in case the flower is too delicate. So we're going to let that sit for a minute. Again, this is where the patience comes in because there's another bubble that just popped up. And again, guys, waiting, I could wait here for 10 minutes. It's not going to guarantee there's no bubbles. You'd be surprised where bubbles can just pop out of. Don't let it discourage you because, I mean, it happens. It happens still to me all the time where I'm trying my best to get all the bubbles out and there's still bubbles at the end. So, again, it's not usually that major. It usually doesn't look like bad on it. It's just, it happens. So, we're just going to keep letting those bubbles come up, and then as soon as we feel like we've waited long enough, press a little bit more on this bad boy. And again, you want to be gentle. You don't want to damage the flower. So there's another little bubble that came up. So I'm going to go ahead and fire this. We're going to hope for the best, y'all. Here we go. So we're going to put that on there and let it sit. Also, just so you know, if you're looking for the right thing, this has a 2 minute, 3 minute, and 5 minute. So you can push the button more than one time and it'll cure for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or 5 minutes. So if you have like a big project, you can let it cure longer. Just set it and let it go. I've never tried the Let's Resin. I've never tried their resin. Yeah, it's not a perfect science. Like you can, try your best. Some stuff is gonna, I throw away stuff all the time that I've made that I'm just not happy with the way it turned out. I usually just do 1 minute. It doesn't take 2 minutes to cure this because this is a good light. It doesn't take as long. If you're really nervous about something being okay, so what I do want to say is if you mix mica powder or resin dye with your resin, you do want to wait a little bit longer because it takes a little bit longer for the resin to penetrate, for the light to penetrate the resin if it's got coloring in it, which I'll show you how to mix resins with resin with mica powder and also use that because that's really pretty. You can do some really cool things. So we're just going to pop this off here. Yay, no bubbles. No bubbles, no bubbles, no bubbles. Now, you can leave it like this and it's really pretty. Or if you want to do a little bit of bling, what you can do is, so pop this resin tape off, lay it down on the opposite side. So, and I'm going to put a little thin layer, like just a little dusting of resin, just a dusting. And then I've got this really cool glitter that I'm going to use that is color shift. So I've got this color shift resin. I mean, not resin, glitter. I'm just going to put a touch. I'm just going to sprinkle. Let me try and do it from this side. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm using my right hand because I'm used to it. I'm trying to show you guys. Okay, so we're just going to sprinkle a tiny bit of this. Just a tiny bit. Just to give it a little something. And then you can take the toothpick and kind of mix it around. Just make sure it gets distributed. I just use a tiny little bit because I don't want it to be like bling. I just want it to be a little sparkly on this side. So we're just going to sprinkle a little bit of glitter. And I put my glitter in these bottles because it helps with the flow. So we're just going to do that. We're going to pop this on for just a second. And then we're going to do another coat of resin so that it's not... yes, the more opaque, the harder it will be to cure. That's true. Okay, so yeah, you can use that, the little acrylic thing that slides in between. For a lot of my projects, I get too complicated to try and lift it up and put it in there. So I just use the one side. You can totally use the two-sided where you have they have a little like acrylic plexiglass tray that slides in so it cures from the top and the bottom. That's what this is. This is actually that lamp. I just only use one side. So you just need it cure for just a second because that's not the final cure. We're going to add more resin. So then we're just going to add a little bit more resin here. Fill it in. Plus it makes it look a little bit more 3D, which is cool. Okay, so we're just going to put the last little coat of resin on there. And we're going to pop on the light for a minute. While I'm doing that, I'm going to show you guys something. So let me see if I can find something to do it with. So sometimes I'll use the little bees. Let me see here. Or hummingbirds or whatever. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this really quick. So the cool thing, and I literally just recently discovered this. So the cool thing is you can take little charms that you have and just get wire cutters and go in and cut the little loop off right here. See, I'm just cutting that loop off. Bam. Then you just take a little nail file and you file it down so it's not pointy or sharp. Not that it's going to matter, but so it looks more uniform. And see, now you have a little bee that you can put in your resin. You just cut the little loop off. I've done this with fairies. I've done this with different charms, butterflies, dragonflies. So you can just cut the little loop off and then you can use this in your resin like I did with the little daisy. So you can put little bees or butterflies or whatever you like in there. All right, so this should be done. So let me show you guys. I don't know how close I can get it so you can see. Let me try to. So it's got little sparkles. I don't know if I can get closer. Let me try. Where is my magnifying glass? Ooh, I've got one right here. See how cute that is, you guys? Just a little simple. And there you have it, the little moon. Okay. Now I'm going to show you guys a little bit more complicated once you start doing this a little bit more. So I've already got my resin in there. So what I'm going to do now, and this is why you'll see the importance of putting the resin down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a thin layer, just really thin, but all the way around. So I'm just going to make sure it goes up to the edges and just do it all in the middle. And then you're going to fire that really quick just to make sure no bubbles are popping up. Okay, now you guys are going to see the importance of the X-Acto knives and the importance of putting that resin down to hold the things I'm going to put in there, because this is going to be like a little multiple flower thing. So, all right. So we're going to take, and this is cool. So if you get any flowers, like, I don't know if you can see this, there's a little bit of a dent there that I don't really like. So if you get flowers that aren't perfect, this is a great way to use them. Have I tried making the plant on clear string? I haven't yet. I mean, I feel like that would be super easy to do. You just have to color your resin green and then drip it along like fishing line, I think. I think it'd be super easy. I haven't tried it yet though. I haven't really had a purpose for it, so anyway, what you want to do here is you just want to lay it on the resin and you want to push down, make sure that everything is right there at the corners. So you guys are going to see how I do this. So we're going to put it right there. And then we're going to take like another flower and we're going to put it right there. And then I'm going to take some, let's see here. I'm going to take some magenta. So these are little Queen Anne's lace flowers that I use a lot of. So these are little Queen Anne's lace. I'm using the magenta. And I'm just going to cut this in half. So I'm going to take my little and just cut it in half. And then I'm going to take this and put it right there. And then I'm going to take some greenery. So this is literally like, this is how you make these. It's a lot. It's, it takes some time. So I'm going to take some greenery, get some greenery in there. So we're going to put some right under the daisy, slide it up in there. Put some more on this side. So this is why you put that resin down. So you're literally making, like, it allows you to make the, because if we were trying to do this and this was dry, this stuff would never stay like this. It'd blow all over, it would slip, it would. So these are tips that I have learned over the years. We're going to take a little more and put it like right up there. Just a little cutie flower up there. This is exact work, you guys. This is not like something you can just throw on there. You have to really make sure all your stuff is right. So then I'm going to take a magenta flower. Let me see here. And I'm going to put it right here. Oops, come here, dude. Just to pretty that up a little bit. And then I'm going to take a little bit of, do I want to use a little bit of white? Let me put this over here. So a lot of this, guys, is very tedious work. It's not something you can just throw together. Like you have to, use tweezers and crap. So far, this is how this looks. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cure this. Remember, it's just got that light layer. So this is not our final product. Probably shouldn't be swinging the darn scalpel around. Okay, so I'm just going to cure this and let it cure for just a second. So that resin is going to hold all those flowers in place. So then I can do more with them. Because when I pick up the piece, it's not going to be, they're not going to fly everywhere. They're stuck now to that piece. And that allows me to work with my scalpels and my other things to make sure that it looks the way I want it to look. So we're just going to let that set for a second. It doesn't need to be very long. Basically, you just need it long enough for that resin to hold on to those flowers, which, there we go. So then I'm going to peel off this resin tape. Careful not to damage my flowers because they're not in resin yet. They're just kind of sitting there. I use this to clean up my space. I'm a neat freak, you guys. I can't help it. That's why I keep my bottle of rubbing alcohol in my... I'm very neat person. Okay, so what you want to do now, carefully, guys, remember you're using a very sharp object, is I'm going to take my thing and I'm going to go around and I'm going to scrape anything that is over. So like this daisy here, what we're going to do is we're just going to take this and scrape. We're just going to scrape right along. That's why you want to make sure your resin goes right to the edge, because you want everything over here to stay where it needs to. And if you need to, you can put it down and do it like this too. Just run that resin knife right up along. I'm sorry, the scalpel, not resin knife. But you just want to make sure that's all clean. So you've got your, so it's got a nice clean edge. And now that's what it looks like. So you've got the little flowers. Sorry, I'm going to try and hold it up to where you guys can see it. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to clean my area really quick because, again, neat freak, and I don't want any extra pieces of flour ending up in my resin. I'm just going to clean that really quick. Oh gosh, I'm making a mess, y'all. Okay, there we go. Now what you want to do is you're going to go back in, and I know this looks paper thin, and it is, but believe it or not, the resin will kind of bubble, and it'll stay like that. It's pretty cool how it works. So I'm going to try and not get in the middle of the camera, but you're just basically going to go with your resin and just slowly go around the edge. You can use a toothpick to get anything that doesn't go right up to the edge, but you're just slowly going to go around the edge, and then you're going to start to fill this in. So just start to fill this in with resin. Just like this. So now there's resin on the whole thing. Again, resin is, it stabilizes itself. So you just want to, if you have like any that didn't go right to the edge, just take your little toothpick, push it right to the edge without too much force. You don't want to push it over. And then slowly start to work out the bubbles. So you're just going to slowly start to work these bubbles out. Push down a little bit on anything that might be sticking up, that air might be hiding underneath. I always keep a paper towel with me too to kind of clean. Okay, so we're going to get all these little bubbles out. All right, we're going to fire that. So we're going to do just like that. We're going to let it sit for another minute because, again, this is where the patience comes in, you guys, because you don't want to have this beautiful piece and then all of a sudden have this huge bubble pop up right in the middle, which that's happened to me more than once. So, I mean, a few little bubbles that's fine. You know, they're not going to change the look of the piece, but you want to try and minimize the bubbles if you can. So if you start to see more come up, just kind of push them to the surface. So you just want to keep watching. If you see any are popping up, just push them to the surface. Okay, and just fire that again. Get the rest of those bubbles out there. Now we're going to go ahead and set that up. Are you going to do more videos like this in the future? Absolutely. If you guys want, yeah. Absolutely. I would love to. In fact, I'm also going to show, so after we do the resin, I'm going to show how I make stretch bracelets. We had some people yesterday on the show talking about stretch bracelets. Yes, I'm going to tell you what string I use. I'm also going to show you how I make it. I mean, everybody has their own way of doing things. I'm just showing the way that I've learned over the years what works best for me. It doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong, or it just needs, I'm just showing you what I've learned over the years in making things, like making stretch bracelets that don't. Is a butane torch too hot? Yes. Um, well, okay, so yes and no. This is a butane torch. So this is actually a torch. I would not recommend using like a torch like you would for like if you're pour painting. Like you don't want to use a cook's torch. So that is not a dumb question at all. You want to use something, you can use a torch lighter, or you can just use a regular lighter. I wouldn't use anything more than a lighter. It can be a torch lighter, but yeah, it will catch on fire if you get it too hot, or it'll just crinkle up, and this does this weird thing, and the odor's terrible. So, heat embossing tool. I would not use a heat embossing tool. I would just use a lighter or a little torch lighter. You can get them cheap. You're welcome, hon. I always get the refillable kind, so I can just refill them with the butane when it's done. So, but I would not use those other things. Sorry, I'm putting this stuff away, you guys. I would not use those other things on this. So, bam. Now, I want to show you guys something. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but right there, there's a little bubble. It's not terrible, but it's a little bubble right there. So even though we sat and we poked at it and we waited and da-da-da-da-da-da, I don't sell UV lamps. I can sell pretty much everything else. But so it doesn't ruin it, of course. You can see it doesn't ruin it. It's just, it's there. So, all right. So there we go. And then you can, okay, another thing I wanted to show you guys. So I sell these in our shop. One of the girls I sell to, she wire wraps these, so she doesn't need a hole. But y'all, seriously, if you need a hole, just grab you one of these little tiny, like it doesn't need to be powerful, it doesn't need to be anything, because you can drill through resin like nothing. So just get you one of these. They're cheap. They're like $7 or $10, and all you do is turn this on, decide where you want the hole, like how you want it to hang. Like if you want to use this to make a sun catcher, and you're just gonna do this, just boop. There's a hole. So you just take your paper towel, clean that off, and now you have a little hole in there that you can use to hang it. So if you want to put a hole in it, it's not a big deal to do that. All right. So next I'm going to show you guys, let me clean off my area. I'm a neat freak, just so you know. I mean, I'm not like obsessive about it. I just like a clean surface when I'm working. And I'm sure people that buy my jewelry appreciate that. All right. So on to the next. All right. So people that make stretch bracelets, typically you're going to see them using this Stretch Magic or something similar. Yes, it's not a Dremel. It's just a little tiny cordless tool you can charge. And I mean, I have a Dremel too that I use for bigger projects, but you don't need a Dremel to drill through resin. It's super easy. You just need one of those little tiny hand tools that you can get, like pay $7 for them, $9 for them, and they come with all the little attachments. You just need that with a little drill. Yeah, and it's super easy. All right, so most people, when they are doing stretch bracelets, they use something like this, which is Stretch Magic. And I know I'm not going to be able to get to the finer details on this, you guys, because the phone doesn't focus in that good. But this is more of a round. Let me see if I can get one that's actually open. Okay, here we go. This is more of a round, and this is the thing. It stretches like that, right? But this is like, and this, you have to stretch it out before you make your bracelet. You got to stretch out. The problem with this is over time, this can stretch out. Like on a bracelet somebody's wearing, it can get to where the bracelet's too big because this keeps stretching. Okay. This doesn't come back and find its shape very well. And this is, this is called Stretch Magic. I'm not downing this. This works great. But what I use, and I've got some pre-cut over here, and I'm going to show you guys. Okay. What I use is called elastic string. The difference in this, as you can see, This is very stretchy as well. It's not as thick. Okay, so it's not as thick. See how it's kind of wiggly? It just moves by itself. It's not as thick as the other, like the stretch cord. So this is what I do when I um, make my bracelets. Let me get some beads. Okay, I'm just gonna do a really simple 8mm. Sorry, I gotta move all this stuff, you guys. So I'm just gonna make a very simple 8mm bracelet. I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm not doing this for design. I'm just doing it to show you. So those of you that were on my show the other day, I sold some of these. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see them. These are beading needles. So they've got the little slit and they're connected at each side. Okay, these are beading needles. Of course. Sorry, honey. This is what I use. Elastic string. You're welcome, honey. So what you're going to do now, I pre-cut these just because when I'm making a ton of stuff, which I haven't done in a long time, I don't want to sit there and go through and cut each like thing as I'm doing it. So you take this end, take one of your ends, you stick it through, and then what I do is I pull it all the way. Let me move this out of the way now. I pull it all the way until it's even. So, oops. So I pull it all the way till it's even, okay? So we got all the way down. So this is double strand now. This is double strand. So when people wear this, it's going to be twice as strong as if I just strung it on one thing. And this is super thin, and this is why I love the elastic string. It's because it's not as bulky as the other, and I find that it's way stronger. All the years that we've sold bracelets, I've never had anybody come to me and say that their bracelet broke. So this is really good. So what you do, basically, you just start, I'm going to use these sesame jasper. You just start stringing these on. And this makes it so much easier, the beading needle, because then you're not trying to get flimsy. See, and you just push it right on there. It doesn't, there's no resistance. Just bam. You just keep putting those on. You want to make sure that you have beads that the hole's big enough that you're going to be able to slide the stretch cord. Well, I'll show you what I mean. So you just keep putting whatever you're making on there till you get it to the size you want. Oops. Of course, the nice thing about this is you can do little beads on this too. So like normal stretch cord, you wouldn't be able to do this, but you can take little beads and they also will go on. So that is the really nice thing, is you're not limited to big beads. I usually pre-cut it, like I usually do 10 to 12 inches. So I do like a 20 strand. And that's just because honestly, I want lots of string to work with when I'm tying it at the end. I don't want to be struggling with, trying to tie it off or whatever. So I make mine kind of long, but you can do yours to fit. I just like to have a lot to work with on both ends so that when I get done and I'm tying it, I'm not trying to work with this little tiny string. So you just keep stringing these on until you get, the bracelet length you want. Okay. So then what I do is I try to move the beads to the middle. Like, so I just stretch it like this, move the beads to the middle so that I've got a good bit of wire on each side. So all you do is you take your scissors and you snip right here, take your needle off, set that to the side, and then all you're going to do, I'm going to try and do this where you guys can see it. You're going to take this and you're going to just knot it. Make sure it's tight. Do this like 5 times. like that. All right, so now you've got these long cords on both sides. Like, again, this is probably overkill. You guys can make yours shorter. But then you want to pull it like this. This is your knot right here. So pull it to one side. That's your knot. And then you want to take a drop of super glue and just put it right on there, right on your knot. Then, before too long, you want to slide these beads over your knot, just like that. See how you can't see any knot now. It's underneath here. It's back in here. So before that dries too far, you want to take your scissors and snip right at the base, because then you're going to have a seamless stretch bracelet. So you don't have any knot, you don't have anywhere. And these guys, these are wonderful. They stretch right back. You're not going to have to worry about them breaking. You're not going to have to worry about them stretching out to the point that people can't. Yes, I did double my string. Yes, I did, Bexon. And I'll show you that again. Are you doing the square knot, or are you doing just regular knot? I'm doing a regular knot. I can show you the start again. I got you, girl. So I can show you the start again of how I got here. But so basically, I pre-cut my string, because when I'm making like multiple things, I don't want to have to go through and like cut it as I go. So I pre-cut my string, just keep it in a little container. So what you want to do, come here, don't want the glue going everywhere. You want to get like a beading needle like this, hun. I sold some like these the other day on the show. I've got more if anybody is interested. Oh no. Are you okay? Oh my gosh, good. I'm so glad you're okay. Okay, I got you, girl. I can show you. Hopefully they'll get your car back to you quick. So you want to take this kind of beading needle. They are connected at both ends, so there's no open end. It's just this little in the middle. Boop, boop, boop. So you want to open that. You want to take one side of your string, put it in there, just like that, and then you string it just like this. And I double string all of my bracelets that I make. That way they're very strong. So see, then you're going to end up with like this. So you've got the needle, and then you've got the double string. The double string in this case, because I use this, so it's elastic string. It's elastic string. It's not the thicker stringing material. What size? There is no size on this one. This is just elastic string. I know when you're using stuff like this, the Stretch Magic, they've got different sizes. Like this is 0.6 millimeter. I don't use these for when I'm making stretch bracelets, because in my opinion, these are harder to use because they're thicker, so you can't really double this up like you can the string. So this is just, there's no size on this. It's just elastic string. So you don't have to get a specific size. You just order the elastic string. And then, so once you've got it double stranded on like that, as I was showing earlier, and I'm just going to show this example, the nice thing about this versus the stretchy cord is that you can put small beads on it. So like even this size little bead, little tiny bead, bam. You can put it on. Whoops, I'm not showing this, am I? You can put it on there. When you use the other one, if you try and double it up, you're not going to be able to get that bead over the string. So this is the nicer part about this, is that you can, sorry guys, I'm trying to stay in camera. You can do smaller beads if you want. The only thing is when you go to tie it off, you need to make sure that you need to make sure you have at least one bead whose hole is big enough. Sorry. That the hole is big enough that you're going to be able to pull through the knot. So you want to make sure at least have one big bead, or like I will use bails sometimes and put little charms to seal them off. So that works good too. Yes. So that's okay. So that's the problem, because with this kind of string, it's thicker. It doesn't stretch as thin. Like example, look at how thick this is. I don't know if you can see that. This is really thick. You're not going to get that double strand. And plus, this will stretch out to the point that it will stay stretched out. You don't have to do anything with this. You don't have to pre-stretch it. You don't have to do any of that stuff that you would normally do with the other stretchy cord. You just string it up. So yeah, yeah, this is so easy because it gets so thin when you stretch it too. You can put the smallest beads on it. I mean, you can literally just put tiny little beads on it. Like, look at this one. Like, boom. See, no problem. It just slid right on there. I didn't have to force it. But like I said, when you finish, you want to make sure you have a bead that holes big enough you're going to be able to pull that knot through. Did you see the knot that I did, or do I need to redo that for you guys? Oh, yeah. No. Stackers are, well, yeah, I stack all my bracelets. So I totally get it. You want to be able to use littler beads. And so what I would say to you, hun, is, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to string this one again. But I'm going to show you a little trick. Okay. So we're just going to go ahead and make another one of these. Okay, so we're just going to string these on here. Sorry, I'm making it to where you can't see. So we're just going to string these on here. I should have made it with smaller beads to show you what I'm talking about. Oh, well. Can I buy some of those needles from you? And do you have any string for sale? I do have needles. I'll have to look and see how much string I have. I might have to order some, but I would totally order some for you, hon. And it lasts forever. It's a ton of string. So let me see here. So I'm just going to do this kind of short, like not really bracelet size, but I want to show you why you have to have. Okay, so let's just say these were all little tiny beads. Let's say they were all little tiny beads and you're making a bracelet and they're not these big beads. What you want to do, so whether you have like, sometimes I'll just use like a pretty silver bead. Let me see here what I can show you. Oh, here we go. Okay, so when you get to the end, like say these were all little tiny beads. The whole thing is tiny beads. You want to get something big enough that you can pull the knot through. So you want to get something with a semi-decent size hole. And I use these little cute flowers. I love these. I sell these in my store. I don't think anybody's bought any, but these are like gold to me. So you just put on your bigger bead, right? And then you're going to pull it to where it's kind of in the middle. So you've got a lot of strand on both sides. You're just going to cut this right here and slide your beading needle off just like that. So then you're going to go, and when you go to tie these, you're just going to tie them. Don't pull it too tight initially. It'll double over. And then just keep tying them, making sure each time that you secure it really good. You want it really tight knot. So I do this like 5 times. Now this is where it's important to have the big hole. Okay, so if these were all little tiny beads, right? Let's just use our imagination and say these were like little tiny beads. When you finish a bracelet, so you want to be able to see this right here. Gosh, y'all. I can't decide what. Do I need to come this way? No, this way. Okay. So see, we've got our knot right here. I pulled it apart. And we've got our knot. So what you want to do with this knot is you want to put super glue on the knot. So if these are all tiny beads, you want to have one bead that's going to be able to slip over this once we put the super glue on it. So we're going to put just a dab of super glue on there. And then you want to slide this bead over the knot. Sorry, I'm trying to get this in. Just like that. So see, now the knot is under this flower. So then you just want to take the extra string right here, pull it far so that it snaps back into the flower. So pull it, cut it, and now you have the little flower, and the knot's in there. So you don't see it. You've got a complete bracelet. And if these were all little tiny beads, the knot would just be in there. Sorry, I'm trying to do this on my computer, guys, and I can't see what I'm doing. Don't mean to keep getting off screen. The size of the string, Connie, is so I don't use the I use elastic string, so there's no size on it. It's just elastic string. If you're using any kind of the stretch string, it's going to have sizes. Like if you're using Stretch Magic, this is 0.6 millimeter, or they've got, you know, 0.8 millimeter, whatever. I don't use these for my bracelets because you can't double strand them. These are too thick. You can't double strand them, and these have a tendency to stretch out and not stretch back. So they tend to lose their elasticity and stretch out to where they're like the beads are hanging and there's exposed. This won't lose its elasticity. It's not going to stretch out. You don't have to repair it. You don't have to do any stretching beforehand. You just bead it, tie it, glue it, slip the beaded glue under a bead, and there you are. You got it. And you have no little end showing. You have no, and this is going to last forever. I've never had somebody say a bracelet's broke on them. Do you have to use glue? Okay. I would say yes. So you don't have to. I'm contradicting myself and I'm not meaning to. You do not have to use glue. The reason that I use glue is because I feel like over time, especially as you're putting it on, taking it off, putting it on, taking it off, first of all, the knot can move. So you could conceivably have a knot slip out from underneath one of the beads, and then you've got a visible knot, which I would not like. See, this knot's not going anywhere. It's glued inside this flower. But also, I feel like it could just work loose. Like the knot itself could work loose. Like after 2 years of putting it on, taking it off, putting it on, taking it off, it could work loose. So technically, no, you don't have to use glue. I would not recommend it. Just because if you want a bracelet that's going to last, especially if you're selling bracelets to customers and you don't want to have them break or you're not showing later on in the process. So I use this. It's just easy. I use the Loctite. It's just liquid. I can put just a little tiny drop. I use I have all kinds of super glue that I use. I have Gorilla Glue and I've got other things, but I like the very liquidy ones for this. Because you can just put a little dot. It kind of goes all around the knot and then you can slide it. So it's nothing too heavy. You don't want to use like a gel or something that's going to end up getting on other beads. So, okay. So Annabelle, yes, we were talking about clasp jewelry. So let me put this stuff aside for a second. And I will show you how to do the clasp jewelry. All right. Just move all this out of the way. Okay, I'll just keep these beads out to do this part. So with the clasp jewelry, what you want to use is called tiger's tail. So, let me see. I don't know if I have any that are labeled. Okay, so you can use any tiger's tail. You don't have to use a specific name brand. It's called colored wire or 7-strand tiger's tail. Basically, it's not a wire. So it is a wire, but it's covered with nylon. So, let me see here. I'm just going to use one I've already got open. So, excuse me. So basically what this is it's not wire, but it's basically what they do is they have 7 strands of wire that they wrap, and then it's wrapped in like a nylon. So it's stiff, but it's not like wire. It's called tiger's tail or 7 strands. Okay, so I cut one long enough like to make a bracelet, plus have a little bit on each side. All right. So I cut enough to have a little bit on both sides. And then you're going to use a crimp bead. So let me get my crimp beads. And let me see here. Where's my clasps? There we go. We're just going to do a little simple silver clasp. And then I like to use, when I'm doing the other side of the bracelet, I like to use a double O-ring, which is, I don't know if you can see it. It's like a double O-ring. Let me show you. I don't know if I can show you this with the magnifying glass. So it's like, it's got 2 full rings. And the reason I like using these for the clasp is so they don't break. They won't just pop open. Like if you're using a regular O-ring, chances are the wire could go through it or it could pop open. So I like to use the double O-rings. Yeah, they're also called split rings. So what you want to do is you want to start out with one side of your wire. You want to take a crimp bead and you just want to get one on there like that. So this is your crimp bead. You're going to pull that down a little bit. You're going to take your clasp. You're going to put that on the same wire just like that. Then you're going to take this wire and run it back through the crimp bead. So it looks like that. You've got a loop. And then you're going to pull this crimp bead all the way to the end. Just like that. You're going to take pliers and you're just going to snip that together. You're going to squeeze that. Sorry, I'm not even on my screen. You're going to squeeze that. Now you have a secure, you've got your little clasp right there, right? Right. Yes, that's true. Yeah, sorry, I was trying to get it centered. This is really awkward because the way I'm used to doing it is this is not this way. So you just want to get that crimped, and then you put on beads, whatever kind of beads you like. And just honestly, these are just going to be my beads for the day. You string that on there. Just string them on. Whatever kind of beads you want for your bracelet. Okay, and since I'm not really making like a bracelet, so what you want to do when you get your beads on there is you want to take them and slide them over this extra wire. So you've got this extra wire here from where we crimped it. You just want to slide those beads over that wire. So just put them over the wire just like that. And that way your wire's tucked in. So you just slide them over the wire just like this. Just like that. So then you don't have any, there you go. So you don't have any loose wire at this end. You slid the things over the wire, right? So then you just keep beading however long you want your bracelet. Sorry, I'm off screen. Just keep beading however long you want to make your bracelet. Okay, once you get to where you have the length you want, you're going to slip on another crimp bead. So you're going to put another crimp bead on, let it fall all the way to the bottom. Then you're going to take your little jump ring and you're going, so the jump ring's on like this, right? It's on here. You've already got your crimp bead right here and you've got your end right here. So you're going to take the end and you're going to put it back through the beads. I like to put it in there a good ways, just to make the bracelet a little bit stronger. So you just want to keep feeding that into there until it comes out like somewhere, it'll come out somewhere down here. So this one came out right here. And then you're just going to pull until that's tight. push this down. You push this down like this, so you've got a good, and you want to pull this so it's nice and tight up there. Now the thing with this is you don't want to get it too close to the jump ring, too tight, because it will snap and it'll break. So once you have it like this, where this is the crimp bead, you've got your little O-ring on the end, you're going to take your little pliers and you're just going to squeeze that together. So, and then see, it's set. It's not going anywhere. Then you want to take this, your little wire cutters, and go down here and snip where it came out. And now you have oops, come here, you. Ah! Now you've got a little bracelet with the clasp. And if you want, so really simple, if you're making bracelets but you're not really sure like what size somebody needs, you can buy these little extenders, or you can just cut wire. I usually do this, so I bought these little extenders, which I can also sell on my shop. They're just like little pieces of a chain. And this is for people that like you want to make the wired bracelets, but you don't know what size they're going to need, especially. So what you can do with this is take your little double jump ring, take your pliers. I don't use the jump ring thing. I just use my nails. Okay, so I get my nail in there, and then I use my little plier to hold that open. And you can just thread that on there, just like that. And then you've got an extender. So if somebody has a bigger wrist, they can extend the bracelet. You can also do those for necklaces. When I was making bracelets and I did this, I would always put like a little charm at the end. Always put like a little charm at the end to make it look cute. But that's how you do that. Easy peasy. You're so welcome, honey. Before I go, does anybody want to see how to do the loop with the earring wire? Like to make the loop to where it doesn't have an opening? Did you guys want me to show you that? Okay, I got you guys. Because this is one thing I learned. This took me a while. I used to always just do the simple little loop that does not hold. Those loops don't hold. You can, So what I started doing, and I'm going to use a charm. I'm going to use a charm to do an example of this. I'll use this little moon. So when you're making earrings and you've got a little dangle, something like this that you want to put on, most people are going to tell you to use, let me see if I can find, I think I got rid of most of mine, honestly. Oh, here we go. Most people are going to tell you to use an earring pin like this that's rounded. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's rounded at one end. Like that. You do not need these. Throw them out. These are not good. Normally you just open that, put the charm on, close it, and hope for the best. Let me show you guys a way easier way to do this. So you're going to cut a length of wire. I usually do it about 3 or 4 inches. So just cut the length of wire that you want to use. So we've got this wire. Simple, easy peasy, right? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So for this you do need the flesh cutters or some kind of wire cutters. You need round nose pliers. So these are round, if you can see. They're completely round. And then you'll need the chain nose pliers. So these are chain nose pliers. These are the 3 basic. Honestly, if you're doing jewelry, this is what you need right here. I mean, there's other tools you can definitely use, but this is the bee's knees of jewelry making. So what you want to do is you want to, about an inch down from the wire, you want to take it and just bend it at a 45-degree angle. So just make a little L, just like that. Little L. Then you're going to take your round nose pliers and you're going to slide that right there at that little L. So, sorry, I'm trying to get it on camera. So it's right there. You want to slide it right on that L. And then you want to bring it up around, back down. So you've just wrapped it around the plier, just like that. Then pull this out and put in the other side. All right. And then you're going to do this. You're going to bring that up. I don't know if you guys can see this very good. So you want to bring it up. And then you want to take and wrap this around. And then you want to snip your little end here. Just snip that off. And then you're going to take your chain nose pliers and just tuck in that little piece right there. Just tuck it in. And now you've got, let me show you. You've got a loop. Sorry. You've got a loop that is secured because it's double wrapped. So see, like this is not going to go, whatever you put in here is not going to go anywhere. Right? So then let me show you how to do it. If you wanted to do a charm on it, okay, so let's do this again. I forgot to add the charm. I'll show you guys what I mean. Okay, so my wire, I'm going to put it in the L shape, stick in the round nose pliers, push that over, take it out, push this back. Now this part we're not going to wrap yet. We've got it like this. Looks like a little round thing with an L, just the little loop at the bottom. Then you're going to take your charm, here it is, and you're going to slide this on there. So just boom, like that. See now that the charm is hanging on the little, the charm is hanging on the little wire there. See how that is? Then you're going to take your chain nose pliers and you're just going to hold this little loop right like that. You're going to hold the loop right like that with the chain nose pliers, and then you're going to wrap this piece around twice. Or you can do it 3 times, whatever you're comfortable with. And then you're going to clip off this little end. And then you're going to tuck this bad boy in here. Okay, so you see that, right? It's got the little loop. Let me show you. So it's got the loop. So this isn't going anywhere. That charm's not going anywhere because this wire is wrapped around the thing, right? So then, let's say you put on your beads. Let me tuck this in a little bit better. Okay, so then, let me show you. So then you've got this wrapped. Do you see that? How it's wrapped around the, let me see, I'm going the wrong way. See how it's wrapped around the, and then there's the loop connecting your charm? Okay, and then you put on your beads, however you want to do it, you know. Put on your beads. Whatever beads you would like. Your silver, your gold, anything in between. Now once you get all your beads on, you're going to look at it. So we need the wire to go this way so that we can put it on a earring wire. So you're just going to turn it. You're going to hold that little loop just like that, sideways. Then you're going to take and you're going to bend this wire like that again. I love 20 gauge. It's my favorite. Unless I'm working with little tiny, because sometimes when I buy like crystals and stuff, like you can't use 20 gauge on, they have this such a little hole, and then I'll use like 18, or not 18, I'll use 24 or 26 depending on the size of the hole I'm working with, but my favorite to work with is 20 gauge. Okay, so you've got it now, that little L, that little 45-degree angle. Sorry, I'm going to try and do this where you guys can see it. You're going to take your round nose pliers, bring that around, take them out, put them in again, bring them around. So now you've got like this. Then what you're going to do is just take that extra piece and wrap it around just like that. Then you're going to take your little snippers, get in there as close as you can, and then you're going to go in with your chain nose and you're just going to tuck those in. So just tuck that little wire in. Whamma bamma, guys. Whoop. Sorry, I'm trying to. So now you've got that ready to go on your earring wire. And see, that's wrapped. That wire's wrapped. Sorry, I'm trying to get this right for you guys. I'm trying to do it with my computer and everything's going the other way. So see, now that's wrapped. So when you put that on the earring wire, this isn't going anywhere. It's not going to open. Yep, you do the same loop on both ends. See, I've got the loop down here that the charm's on. Sorry, here we go. I'm trying, you guys. This is so awkward. So there, okay, there we go. So that you've got the same loop down here where the charm is, and then the same loop up here where you're going to put it on the earring wire. Yes, you use the same type of loop for both sides. But the difference is now this is not going to open. You don't have to worry about this coming open. You know what I mean? It's going to stay right where it is because they're both closed loops. So it's not going to, like, this part's not going to break. This part's not going to break. You're not going to have your charm fall off because they're sealed at both ends. And if you don't want to do like the little charm at the end or whatever, if you're not hanging something off of it, you can just do the same thing with, let me show you. So like if you have wire like this, just the little wire with the little ball at the end that you're wanting to use. So all you would do in this situation, put on your beads, whatever beads you'd like. So let's say, I'm just working out of this. I'm not designing jewelry today, y'all. I promise. This is terrible. I wouldn't sell this. But so you just put on another one just to. So let's say this, you've got your beads on there, and again, I'm not trying to design jewelry today. That's terrible. But you've got your beads on there. So all you're going to do in this situation is the same process. So just bend it to an L. Leave a little bit of space for your wrapping. So you've got your L. Then just take your round nose pliers, pop them in there, bend it all the way over, just like that, all the way over. Take this out, put it back in, and then wrap. Just wrap this around there. Okay, and then you're going to take your little snippers, cut it as close as you can, and then you're going to tuck your little piece in here. And bam. Sorry, it's getting the light on it, but bam, there you go. You've got your little wrapped. So now you don't have to worry about this coming off your earring charm. This is not going anywhere. The loop can't open. So these are meant to last for a long time. All right, guys. If anybody else has any questions, I'd be happy to go over anything with you guys. Otherwise, we're probably going to call it a day. If you guys have any other questions or things you want me to do tutorials on, just let me know. I can show you, whatever knowledge I have. I'll be more than happy to share with you guys. Again, I don't really make stuff like I used to. I used to be a maker. But now, it seems because my husband and I are both kind of tired of doing the vendor thing, it's getting too hot, honestly. Oh, you're so welcome. Can I sell something to you so you can keep the video? Oh my gosh. Wait, you wanted a beading needle, right? Didn't you say you needed a beading needle? Okay, so I would, because I don't want to. I wasn't meant like, but yeah. Okay, so I can just do this beading needle for you. So I'll start auction. Sorry, hang on a second. Okay, there we go. My computer was giving me feedback, so I'll just do this. Okay, so this is $2. This is probably going to be my whatnot's going to be like. Dang, your sales are down. All right, I'm okay, you guys. Whoo. They're gonna be like, "What are you doing over there?" You make $2. Oh god. Okay. That's crazy. You guys can't save the video? I thought it would normally just be like somewhere in our stuff. Okay, so I'll send that to you, Bexon. Um, okay, got you. Got you, got you, got you. Okay. Yeah, if there's anything else you guys can think of that you'd like me to show you, um, I would love to share, any knowledge I have with you guys that I've learned over the years, just different ways to make jewelry a little bit more professional, a little bit longer lasting. It just gives a more professional appearance. And people appreciate the details. A lot of people appreciate little details like that, like having the wire wrapped around so it's not going to come loose. Especially like if you're making little charms. I know Misty does the little keychain charms. That is perfect for those because if you're making little charms, you don't want the little thing to come open and then you lose your charm. So that's a really good technique for anything that you're making. So let me know, guys. I'm finished for today. Now tomorrow, I'm gonna tell you guys we got some good stuff. We got our malachite in. Um, we got some really good stuff in tomorrow. Uh, we've got flowers, glass stars, glass hearts. We got some hearts in for people that have been requesting those. We got a lot of good stuff, you guys. We've got some more blingy glass. So come see me tomorrow. We'll be on starting at 11. Otherwise, you guys can always comment during the show. Let me know what you'd like to see me do next in tutorial wise. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me through our messaging app on Whatnot. I'll be more than happy to help with any questions you guys have. But I hope y'all have a fantastic day, and we'll see y'all next time.